Three, two, no. Three, two, one.
Good evening, Guyanese. Today, we had another opportunity to showcase our model of development and to outline a clear strategy through which we are building national prosperity and through which we are creating opportunities for every single Guyanese, regardless of which region you live in, regardless of which sector you're in. Budget 2024 give that holistic overview of our country's development trajectory and the important projects that will continue the transformative agenda of our country and our economy. Indeed, Budget 2024 is about staying the course whilst building national prosperity. This evening, however, I want to take a few moments and distill some of the measures outlined in Budget 2024 and to demonstrate the effect that these measures would have individually and in totality on the population of our country. As you know, all of these measures are aimed at increasing disposable income, putting more money in the pockets of people, bolstering income for vulnerable groups, and of course, improving the system of services, the system of governance, and the provision of services for our country. These are the challenges that we confront, and the measures address these challenges. The measures target young people, women, children, pensioners, and I want to spend some time in demonstrating the net effect of these measures that will place more than $100 billion, that will make more than $100 billion in the costed and the measures that are not costed. In my estimation, approximately $100 billion will be plowed back, put back into the pockets of people, into the economy, that will stimulate spending, that would bolster income, and that would improve conditions of living, and of course, address issues of cost of living. If we take, for example, the measure that we continue to implement, that is containing the cost of fuel. One of the big issues the world is faced with today is how do we contain the cost of fuel? Because the cost of fuel affects the cost of energy. The cost of fuel dictates almost the cost of everything in our society. The cost of production for farmers, the cost of production for manufacturing, the cost of production for industries, and this also has an effect on the cost of the outcome, the final product to the people, the cost of goods and services, the cost of transportation. So it is imperative that we address this issue that is so uncertain globally. And you can hardly point to a single jurisdiction since we came into office. We have reduced the taxes on fuel at zero to zero. We have reduced the taxes on fuel to zero. Since we came into office, we have saved consumers $75 billion by this single measure. Today, I'm pleased that Budget 2024 will continue to keep the taxes on fuel at zero so that $40 billion of taxes that should have been collected will now be placed back into the pockets of people and into the economy. So this measure would save our people, our country, the ordinary man, the industries, the private sector, $40 billion. So that's the first measure, containing the cost of fuel, which is an important issue many countries have grappled with. We are keeping the taxes to zero there, ensuring that $40 billion that would have otherwise been charged to the end consumer is now being consumed by the government in absorbing this cost. The second issue has to do with the cost of freight. As you would recall, when we came into office in the pre-pandemic period, the cost of freight went up by 1,000% in some cases. So we implemented a measure for the purpose of calculating the import taxes. And in order to combat the increase in shipping costs, which was passed on to the consumer, we wanted to ensure that we implement a measure that would avoid that increase in shipping costs, that was 1,000%, to be passed on to the consumer. Initially, this measure of calculating the taxes was implemented for a period of 6 months, from August 1st, 2021 to January 2022. We subsequently extended that to the end of 2023. I am pleased to say that in Budget 2024, we will be extending this once more, and that is because we recognize the difficulties shippers are having in the Panama Canal and the pileup of cargo in the Panama Canal, which is now driving up the cost of shipping because there is transshipment that is required. So we are extending this policy for another year, all of 2024. This will save our consumers $6 billion. $6 billion of costs that would have been passed on to the consumer. The government will be consuming or giving up this $6 billion in revenue so that our consumers will not have to carry the burden of the increase in costs as a result of the increases in shipping costs. This also would benefit the private sector. A very important measure that we implemented last year that has contributed significantly to household wealth, community wealth, and regional wealth, bringing new labor into the workforce, and for first-time labor, single mothers, the part-time employment program that we implemented last year. That program last year cost us about $6 billion. We employed about 15,000 persons across every single region. In Budget 2024, we are going to expand this program by budgeting $10 billion to the part-time employment program so we can bring more persons on board to aid and help in the services provided by government, help in community development and community work. And at the same time, we will be expanding household and community disposable income by $10 billion. What this means is that $10 billion that was not there before is now available in communities across the country to be spent in the markets, in the local shop. A person who has a low-income house who now goes on this program and gets $40,000 every month can repay their low-income loan and still have $12,000 in their pocket every month. That is the impact of this policy. Already, 15,000 persons benefiting. Another maybe 6,000, 7,000 would come on stream. That is 22,000 families that will now benefit from this additional disposable income. This is what helped to create wealth. This is what helped to lift people out of poverty. This is what helped to bolster disposable income and put more resources in the money, in the pockets of vulnerable groups, and at the same time, that money finds its way through the village economy, through the community economy, through the regional economy, creating wealth throughout the process. When you look at what is happening in terms of our D&I system, food prices, our farmers having to deal with the issues of El Nino, not only are we investing in D&I, but once again in this year's budget, to address cost of living issues. Last year, we dealt with pensioners. We dealt with persons living with disability. We dealt with farmers. In this year's budget, we are setting aside $7 billion for cost of living adjustment for these vulnerable groups also. We dealt with different categories of public servants. So $7 billion is set aside to directly address and cushion the impact of costs of living as we analyze what is taking place globally. Whilst we have been able to contain our inflation because of the measures we have implemented in 2023, global and regional inflation is creating havoc. And we will be importing a lot of that inflation into our country. So we have $7 billion set aside to target specific groups in cost of living adjustment measures. One of the issues that persons would raise with me is the issue of small business loans and grants, small business loans from the banking sector. We are in Budget 2024 setting aside policy space and room, fiscal space and room to negotiate with the banking sector a specific mechanism, a specific tool where the government will give them incentives, just like we did in housing, that saw the interest rate reducing to 3.5%. We're now going to implement measures to target small businesses who are applying for a loan up to $5 million in the commercial bank, to make it more accessible, to create an easier framework for them to get that loan, and to have a significant reduction in the interest rate. That is another policy we'll be pursuing that will target small businesses directly. Another measure that we're looking at as we build out all these sports facilities and recreational facilities, we know that we want more and more persons to become active in sporting facilities, in games, in that healthy lifestyle. And as we build out more facilities, we also want more of our young people to get the opportunity to make the national team, whether it's in hockey, whether it's in tennis, whether it's in football, whether it's in cricket, volleyball. As a result, we have taken a decision in Budget 2024 that we are removing all VAT and duty on sport equipment. So every single sport equipment and sport gear in our country will be now duty-free and VAT-free. And that is an important measure to continue to push sports as an important tool of transformation. You will recall earlier, we removed the VAT on data for residential and individual use. Remember, VAT was removed on data for residential and individual use, along with the applicable taxes on cell phone. So we had removed the VAT on cell phones and on data. Today, in 2024 budget, I'm pleased that we have gone a step further in removing VAT and duty on essential cell phone accessories, such as chargers, charging cables, headphones, along with every component for phone repairs. So there again, VAT and duty has been completely removed from cell phone accessories, cell phone parts, cell phone coming outside of the boxes, tax-free and duty-free. This because the cell phone today is not just a phone. It is a tool for education. It is a tool for business. It's a tool for the small businesses. It's a tool for farmers. It's an information sharing gadget. It is something that has become essential in the transformation of society at every level. So that is another important measure. As we continue to work on supporting vulnerable group, the vulnerable group in our society, old age pension is an important issue. Since we came into office, we have moved old age pension from $20,500 in 2020 to $33,000 as of last year. In this year's budget, commencing from January 1st, 2024, we are now further increasing old age pension to $36,000 per month. This reflects a 75% increase in old age pension from the day we came in office to now. 75% increase in old age pension from the day we came in office to now. What this would do is that it will put $2.7 billion of disposable income in the hands of our pensioners. 76,000 pensioners will now have $2.7 billion of disposable income in their hands. If you have a father and a mother who are pensioners in a household, that couple in that household will receive $72,000 every month. 72, that is a net effect. That would allow them to live in dignity. $72,000 every month that couple will receive. That is what we mean when we put money, when we bolster income for a vulnerable group. That is caring for our pensioners. That is keeping our pensioners' welfare at the paramount priority for our government. But we have gone a step further. Public assistance. Remember when we came into office? Since we came into office in 2020, we moved public assistance from $9,000 in 2020 to $16,000 last year. Furthermore, you'd recall that we announced a policy that every single person living with disability will be placed on the register for public assistance. Everyone. So once you are living with disability, you will be placed on the register to benefit from public assistance. So we did not just move it from 9,000 to 16,000. We expanded to cover all persons living with disability. I wish now to say that in Budget 2024, we have further increased public assistance to $19,000 with effect from January 1st, 2024. This would put a further $1.2 billion of disposable income into the hands and pockets of a vulnerable group of persons who receive public assistance. This will benefit 35,000 persons across our country. 35,000 persons. And where does this disposable income go? This disposable income goes right back into the local economy. It goes right back into the village economy. It goes right back into the markets, the shops, the homes, creating wealth at every level in our society. If we go further, and this is an amazing measure of Budget 2024. When we campaigned, we said we want people to live in dignity. Our pensioners, our children must have equity in access. Today, I am pleased to announce, as was announced earlier in the budget, that we are keeping true to this promise. So in addition to the increase in pension, old age pension, in addition to the increase in the grant for school children, in addition to the increase in public assistance, we are now going to give every single school child and pensioner, we're talking here about 205,000 school children and 76,000 pensioners. Every school child and every pensioner, which adds up to 280 plus thousand persons. 282,000 persons. Old age pensioners and children. We are now going to give a voucher of $3,000 so that they can go and test their eyes anywhere. We have sat down with all the local providers of this service, and the cost of an eye test is $3,000 to check your vision. Every pensioner, every school child would get a voucher for $3,000 to go and check their eyes. And more importantly, we will set up a special mechanism to deal with our children and our pensioners in the hinterland and riverine areas. This measure would cost almost $1 billion. Outside of this, and as you can see, this measure is also targeted at supporting the investment our private sector individuals are making in the healthcare system, building up their capacity, and we are showing confidence in their investment by allowing our children and pensioners to cash this voucher at any facility in the program that is doing it at this $3,000. But we've gone a step further. Any person, after doing the test, the eye test, any pensioner or child, after doing the test, that requires a spectacle, we will give them a further voucher of $15,000 to acquire that spectacle. This is anticipated to cost another $1 billion. So this one measure in taking care of the eye health of our children and our pensioners is an investment of about $2 billion. Getting all our children, bringing parity of service, and giving them a choice to choose between the public or private entity where they want to go and test their eyes. That is what builds equality. That is what builds system that support the welfare and well-being of our people. All our pensioners and children catered for under this program. Imagine, not only are we giving you a voucher to test your eyes, but we're going to give you a voucher of $15,000 if the test shows that you need a spectacle. Point to one other jurisdiction that is giving this. Now, as I said, specific mechanism will be put in place to help those in our hinterland and riverine areas. The next measure that I want to speak about is one that I'm very excited about. We care tremendously about the women in our society. And one of the issues that has been affecting women across the world is cervical cancer. And we have said that this is something that can be treated with early detection. You can live a long, healthy, productive life with early detection. So what are we going to do? I am pleased that in Budget 2024, we are going to give every woman in our country between the ages of 21 and 65 a voucher of $8,000 to do the cervical cancer test anywhere they want to do it, in the private sector or public sector. Every woman between the age of 21 and 65 will now get a voucher for $8,000 to do the testing. But furthermore, we're not stopping there. We are going to set aside billions of dollars to invest in the treatment facilities for persons who are detected through the early detection program. So not only are we going to give you the voucher to do the test, but we're going to build in the capacity, buy the equipment and the capability to give you the treatment also. This is caring for our women in the society. This is giving them a better life. This is giving them a healthier life. This is giving them the standard of living that we want our people to enjoy. Furthermore, we are very concerned about the fires in our society. We have one too much fire and the destruction it is causing. I am pleased to say that in addition to the investment we are making to boost our firefighting capability at the Guyana Fire Service and also at the community level with the tenders we're going to buy for every NDC, we are now going a step further. Budget 2024 would help businesses and residential users, residents in residential homes, to more easily and affordably access firefighting equipment. In Budget 2024, we are removing all the duty and VAT on firefighting equipment and, for example, smoke alarms, extinguishers, household fire prevention capability, the fireballs. All of this will now be duty-free and VAT-free, making it more accessible, affordable, and responding to an immediate concern and need in our country. Moving on. Over the last number of months, we have had massive outreaches to our NIS pensioners, and a number of issues were raised, including the current minimum pension. The current minimum pension now paid by NIS is $35,000 monthly. In Budget 2024, we are resetting the new minimum pension that will be paid by NIS to $43,075, moving it from $35,000 to $43,075. This will put another $2.6 billion in the pockets of our NIS pensioners, benefiting 27,000 pensioners across our country. Now imagine the same couple I told you that gets $72,000 every month in old age pension, now getting $43,000 if they are NIS pensioners. That is $86,000 plus $72,000. $86,000 plus $72,000. That is more than $150,000 that couple, that pensioner couple, would enjoy in their household. So we are moving the minimum pension paid by NIS from $35,000 monthly to $43,075 monthly. That will place $2.6 billion in the pockets of 27,000 pensioners across our country. Further, our survivors' pension. This too is an area that we'll be addressing. The current minimum pension paid to survivors by NIS is $17,500 monthly. As of January 1st of this year, we are now moving that pension to $21,537,000. This will benefit 12,000 persons directly and put $600 million of disposable income in their pockets. Invalidity pension. Under the NIS 2, we have the invalidity pension. Now, this pension is paid to an insured person who is incapable of work otherwise than as a result, incapable of work because of a result of an employment injury. Now, if the person has been so incapable for a period of not less than 26 weeks and likely to be permanently so incapable, the current minimum invalidity pension paid by NIS is $35,000. So currently, the invalidity pension is $35,000. As of 1st of January this year, we're going to take that to $43,075 for these persons. These are the type of investment we are making to bolster income and to target the most vulnerable, bringing equity, ensuring that we build a society in which disparity does not widen or create gaps within our society. This is how you implement and plan measures in the interest of people. And this is what we mean when we say building prosperity across our country in every single household. Further, in our NIS outreaches, we have found almost 4,000 persons who did not meet the minimum requirement of 750 contributions, but whose contribution sometimes is as much as 700 to 749. So in Budget 2024, we are making an allowance to pay off a one-time grant, a one-time cash grant to all these persons who fall in this category. 4,000 persons who would have received nothing will now be catered for with a one-time cash grant being paid off to them for the contributions they would have made. As we continue to ensure that disposable income is placed in the pockets of people, this year in 2024, the Because We Care cash grant, the student grant, you remember, since we came back into office, we reinstituted this grant that was taken away from our children by the APNU AFC government. This grant that was so callously stolen from them, we reinstituted it when we came back into government. Last year, this grant was taken to $35,000 per child. I'm pleased to say that in budget 2024, we are now taking this grant to $40,000 per child, benefiting 205,000 school children in both our public and private school. Not only did we bring it back, not only did we increase it, but we expanded to children in the private school too. Now, that grant will be $40,000 per child, more than $1 billion, more than $1 billion of disposable income in the pockets of our children. Together with the Because We Care student grant, the uniform allowance of $5,000, which will benefit 205,000 students, our children will now receive $45,000 when you combine the Because We Care student grant and the uniform grant. This will make $10 billion available. $10 billion available to the children of our country. $10 billion of disposable income into the pockets of the children of our country. Now, as you will recall, I spoke earlier about the University of Guyana. And in keeping with our manifesto promise to provide a pathway for debt write-off for persons with outstanding student loan, I'm pleased that this process will commence in Budget 2024, when we will commence the first phase of eliminating outstanding loans owed by graduates of the University of Guyana. So our first phase of free university education will commence this year with the elimination of all loans, all outstanding student loans owed by students to the University of Guyana. So our push to free university education, as we promised, is now well on the way, long before 2025. Reducing the cost of life and medical insurance. As more of our persons graduate in income, they all want to have better standard of living, better access to medical care. And many of them buy into medical insurance. And we want to encourage persons also to have medical insurance. So as you know, the current measure allows taxpayers a deduction from their chargeable income from premium paid for life and medical insurance up to a maximum of 10% of their income, or $30,000 monthly. So presently, your deductible is 10% of your income or $30,000 monthly, whichever is lower. That is your deductible if you have life and medical insurance. In this year's budget, we are moving the deductible from $30,000 to $50,000. To $50,000. That will be tax deductible. That's a $20,000 increase, or 10%, whichever is lower. So if your salary is $200,000 10% of 200,000 is 20,000. So 50,000 will be your deductible because that is low. If your salary is $700,000, 50,000 will be your deductible because it's 10% of 700,000, 50,000 is low. So we are moving the deductible to 50,000 now. Now, this intervention will reduce the taxable income and consequently the tax payable by the taxpayer and will facilitate greater access to universal medical costs and coverage. I know many of you are saying that this is tremendous and these measures alone is comforting to the population. But I'm pleased to further state that Budget 2024 will now take the income tax threshold, which was increased from $65,000 to $85,000 since we came into office. We are now increasing that threshold to $100,000 monthly. So every single person who is working $100,000 and less, you have tax-free income. Tax-free income. You will take home all of it. These are the measures. This would cost almost $5 billion. But we are doing this in the interest of you, the people. So as you can see, I will continue. I just wanted to address a few of the numerous measures Budget 2024 brings to the population. I'm sure many of you, if not all of us, will be rejoicing. Except, of course, those who can see no good, or those who can understand, who don't have, they have the ability, but don't have the conscience to acknowledge what the government is doing. Together, we are building a stronger, more prosperous, unified country for all our people. This is the mission. No one will stop us in making your life better. I congratulate the Minister of Finance and the entire team, the cabinet, the private sector, and all those who continue to contribute to the advancement and development of our one Guyana. Guyana where prosperity is coming at a faster pace than anywhere else in the world to every single home. I thank you and God bless you.